And then, Rick, I'll continue to let people in because we will have people joining us throughout, I'm sure. I also have a number of people already logged into the live stream. So hi to you guys. And we'll continue to have a number of people watching live stream. So if you have questions or comments, please go ahead and chat in the live stream. I'll monitor that for Rick as well.
Thank you,
And
Carol.
of course, those of you that are here live, make it interactional, raise your hand, chat in the chat box. As we get started, why don't you guys go ahead and chat where you service clients in case anybody can become referral partners of yours. We're here together from across the country, and so it's nice to get to know where people are in case we can form a relationship. But without further ado, we have, I was sharing this not too long ago, but we've been doing this Wednesday call now for 2.5 years straight. Besides maybe a couple little vacations or holidays. And so I can't believe it's already been 2.5 years, but super grateful that I've been able to have just amazing guests come and spend their time with us and give of their expertise. We are super appreciative of that. And I think it's one of the reasons that our workplace group here, eXp Family Tree, has grown to 9,500 members across the world. So highly engaged group, lots of awesome agents on the call for you today, Rick. And it'll continue to be live streamed forever, you guys. If you want to go watch this again, you can do that right there in the workplace group anytime. It'll stay forever, and any of the comments and posts and things I add to the live stream will stay there. And of course, you can go to my YouTube channel, just search my name up and we'll have the recording there. So Rick Gray is a friend of mine, a fellow coach, an author, a speaker, just a phenomenal guy who I've had the chance of getting to know over the last few years. We actually knew each other for many years in our previous company, and then kind of got reconnected as he was growing his coaching company, and so was I. Rick has traveled up to Coeur d'Alene. He's in the Boise, Idaho area, but he's traveled up. So he's done this presentation for me and our co-working space and the agents there not too long ago. He was just talking about the snowstorm that he flew into. In beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And it was a great training. Despite the fact that we did have a snowstorm, we still had people show up, and it was a really, really good training. So I asked him if he would come, share with us here via Zoom so we could bring this information to many of you across the country. This is an AI program that is specific for real estate, which makes it different than a lot of the other trainings you've probably attended on AI. And when Rick came in and shared the things that this program can do, it was truly mind-blowing. And it is in some infancy stages, but it's growing and developing. And there's a group of agents that gather together and help each other and tell each other how they're using it. And so he's created a great community, and I wanted him to share it with you all, as of course I want us all to be in the know of what is on the forefront of our industry. How can we be the best real estate professional that we can be, and obviously help the others we're in business with do the same. So without further ado, Rick, I'm going to let you take it away. Thank you so much for being here again. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Cari. I love having you bring me on. It's an honor to speak for your group. You're such a giver. I love that. I love your space. I mean, that whole co-work space you created up in Coeur d'Alene area is really cool. I love
Thank
it.
you. Yeah.
Well, and I know your agents embrace technology. I mean, that's the whole point of EXP. I get that. So I'm excited to share. I've got a new slide deck for you, Cari, some new stuff that you haven't even seen. So this will be fun for you as well. But I encourage questions throughout. I'm just really excited to show everybody, one thing you talked about, Cari, was a community. You have a community of people on this call. And Whoozy, that's what we are as well. We're an AI platform. Obviously, we're an AI platform exclusively built for real estate, but we're also creating a community of people that are like-minded and want to learn and share and use this. Let's be the ones that usher this in. Let's not be a victim of what's going to happen with AI. Sometimes people say that. It's like, I'm not sure if I'm afraid of AI. I mean, anybody on the call, like, afraid of AI or even have that, that thought like, well, I'm not sure how this is going to go. We can be the ones that dictate how this goes. We can be the ones to usher it in. So I want to show you this. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. I've got 3 different monitors, so I'm hoping I'm sharing the right one. Everybody seeing this?
Looks good.
All right. So using AI to amplify you. A couple of quick questions I had is, what's going to happen to our industry if we don't get better? That was one thing I wanted to put out there and have you think about for a second. That's something, Cari, I'm sure you're talking about a lot lately, is us getting better at what we do.
Right.
And, the second part of that is, what kind of an impact do you want to have on real estate, on the industry, on your clients? And we get to decide this stuff, and whether we learn AI and embrace it and use it, which I think the future agents are going to do, or not is up to you. And just think about what kind of an impact do you want to have on the industry? Because again, we get to dictate that. So here's today, look, quick outline, what we're going to do. We're going to talk about several things today. I'm going to do a lot of product demo. And just so you can see here on this side of the screen, this is a pre-listing assistant that we're going to talk about today. We have a pre-listing tool that is really cool. I know, Cari, you saw this when I was up there. I'm going to pull it up today and do some examples with it. People love to talk about that, but I also want to talk about some challenges that the industry faces and how Whoozy helps solve that. So we'll go through some of the other things that Whoozy does as well, and then tell you, of course, we'd love for you to be involved. We want you to be involved in our community. We'll talk about that as well. There are things that you can do yourself. There's systems you can implement. There's tools you can learn. There's technology, and it's really all about scaling and leverage. And in this market, speed to doing things, we're going to talk a lot about that. Speed to implementation, like we learned in 2021, is going to be very important. And Whoozy and AI is going to help us do that. And please ask questions as we go through this, because if you have any questions for me, I want to make sure I'm answering them to you. But here's kind of one of the foundational things that actually Eric had Whoozy write this, I believe. Literally, this quote Whoozy wrote: real estate is crowded. Rise above, not by the volume of your pitch, but by the value of your proposition. And that is like so true. We don't need more tech. We need more good agents that make a really good experience for their client. And, that's, when we talk about what most people are doing wrong, if you think like the AI space, how many of you, just maybe a show of hands or click on the chat, have used AI and used maybe Chat GPT? Okay. Everybody. So played around with Chat GPT a little bit, maybe entered some prompts. Here's the thing that people do wrong, in my opinion, with AI. They try to broadcast to the masses. They try and create a message for everybody and automate things. Well, how many of you can look at a listing description and you can tell if it was written by AI? Right? I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're using words that you wouldn't use. We don't want to broadcast to the masses. We want to connect to the individual. That is really why we created Whoozy, to make the individual's experience, the home buyer and seller, better. We don't want to treat them just like a number on a drip campaign. We want to, and with AI, we can do that much more effectively. We can personalize our transactions and our interactions with people. And that's what this is talking about. We need to get a better value proposition and be better. Let's get better at what we do. I think that's really sort of the theme of what Whoozy's all about. So who recognizes this kind of a calendar? This is a day in the life of a real estate agent, basically. So you say, well, okay, these are things that agents do. These are common issues and common problems agents have, from doing market research for an hour in the morning just to understand what's going on. Some of us probably do hot sheets and we look at properties first thing in the morning. I used to go actually tour properties. Then you might do a staging plan for the Jones and a CMA. That might take you 2 hours to really go through if you've got a potential listing coming. Then you're going to create some social media content. You spend an hour on Instagram trying to get your name out there. Then you might have, if you're a networker, that's one of the things that we teach, by the way, through Whoozy's, to figure out what kind of an agent are you, right? I think I did that with you, Cari. Are you a networker, a marketer, a prospector, a converter? Figure that out. Have Whoozy help you figure that out, and then have it help you create a schedule, which we'll talk about, that works for you. But if you're a networker, you might do a home buying seminar. That'd be a great idea. Well, you're gonna spend some time working on that. You're gonna review offers, and they're gonna go on listing appointments. This is a typical day, I would think, for a producing agent, right, Cari? And this looks like something that people would do. Here's the challenge with that. Doesn't that look like a lot of work? And it becomes exhausting. It becomes exhausting and overwhelming with all the things that we need to get done. So these are the problems that we built Whoozy for, is to figure out, okay, overwhelmed with technology. Anybody can relate to that? Overwhelmed with all the different technology that's available. Wouldn't we all agree there's more technology now than there was in real estate 10 or 20 years ago? But, Cari, and we've been doing this a long time. So this, by the way, guys, next month is my 30th anniversary as a broker. I've been a real estate agent for 30 years. Just to date myself a little bit. But yeah, technology hasn't gotten less, it's gotten more, but we also work more. So it's not answering all of the issues that we have. So that's the first thing we created Whoozy for, was dealing with that overwhelm of technology. Then how about paperwork? Anybody drowning in paperwork? When I started the real estate transactions in Oregon, where I got my license originally, Cari, 3 pages was the purchase and sale agreement. You remember that? 3 pages long. We had you had to push really hard because we had the carbon
Tear
copies.
them apart. Yep,
Yeah,
I remember those days.
Tear them apart, right? Yeah, literally, that was what technology was like back then. I had people fax me. I had to fax offers to people because I was in Sun River, Oregon. If you guys know where that is, kind of a resort town right outside Bend, Oregon, right? So I sold in Sun River. My dad was a builder in Bend. Darren, I see the thumbs up. People would come from Oregon, like Portland area, or Seattle, or California, and look at properties. And then they, I'd show them properties on the weekend. Then they go back home. I would literally either mail them or fax them the offer paperwork. And then when they got it, they would call me. I would walk them through it. They would literally mail it or fax it back to me, guys. So paperwork has changed a lot for the better, I will say. But we are drowning in paperwork. I mean, in Idaho, it's 13 pages now. The purchase and sale agreement. I don't know what it is where you guys are, but drowning in paperwork certainly is a thing we built this for. Fighting for leads, lead generation is always an issue. And then finding time for it all. And just by seeing this calendar, I think we can all relate. Yeah, if this was a day, if we did this every single day, it would get exhausting. So let's think about what AI could do to help this. What could Whoozy specifically do? So think about this. Think about crushing a can. Eric used this example when we were in Portland here a couple of weeks ago, and I just loved it. Like, think of a pop can. You've got a Pepsi can, and you take the can and you smash it down. So now it's flat, like, or just, John Belushi on the head. Smash the can down. You still have the can. You still have the work, but you can get it done. And certain things, not everything, certain things AI can help us get done so much faster. I really want to make this point, though. It's not just about efficiency. Efficiency means getting things done quicker. Like, if it takes us 2 hours to do a staging, I'm going to show you an example here in a minute. 2 hours to do a staging in a CMA presentation. What if we could do it in 10 minutes? Well, we could do a lot more of them, right? Some of these things we can crush the can on, and that's where we talk about efficiency. But the other piece that I really want to spend some time on this call, guys, is AI can help you be more effective as well. Efficiency is speed and how quickly we can do things, but effectiveness is quality of work. And I really believe once you see some of the examples I will show you, you're going to understand, okay, this is not just a technology revolution. This is a creativity revolution. We're actually going to get better at what we do if we can learn to use these tools. And the example we always use is Tony Stark with Iron Man, because I love Marvel. If you like the Marvel comic, Tony Stark is a cool guy and he's a billionaire and he's a great guy with his family and people in the movies. He's seen as somebody that they look up to. But the Iron Man superhero doesn't really happen until he puts on the suit. Then he becomes Iron Man. There's nothing wrong with Tony Stark. We are all realtors and we are all agents. But once we use a tool like Whoozy and create a community and ecosystem like Whoozy, now we can be a superhero for our clients. That's the difference. And so think about that. Think if you could really crush that can on a lot of your tasks. How many of you wish there was more than one of you, or you had more time, right? And you could get 3-4 times as much done in one day without any more time of yours invested in this. Well, think about what that would do over time, right? Think about every day. And I think, Cari, you had me up a couple years ago and I talked about atomic habits. Remember, I love the book Atomic Habits, where it talks about the aggregation of marginal gains. Just a little bit better in a lot of areas leads to massive improvements in results. So you think about atomic habits, you think about, okay, if I can crush that can and get more done, what if I did that every day? What would my business look like in 3 months or 6 months? This is, growing basically at an exponential rate, but you don't have to do anything exponential. You're doing things incremental and using tools that add up. That's really what we're trying to get at here. This adds up over time. And this affects your money, how much money you can earn, leads, how many leads you can get, right? How many listings do you have? And just the general momentum in your business can change with small things. So steps. So we talk about incremental steps. This is a fun example Eric gave in Portland, but we were talking about if you walked 30 steps, Cari, 30 steps, you walk about 2 feet a step, I'm assuming. You're not the tallest person in the world, but a couple feet. So that's about 60 feet. Wherever you guys are sitting, that's, if you're in a house, that's probably somewhere still in your yard. If you're in a building, that's probably somewhere in the office building. 60 feet is not that far. But if you walked an incremental step, meaning you doubled it every single time you took a step, you would actually get to the moon in 30 steps. So it's hard to understand for our brains to understand how exponential things actually work. And that's the power of books like Atomic Habits. That's the power of really learning how to use tools like Whoozy, is it can 10x 11x. We have an inside joke in Who's in our Who's team about 11xing our business. You guys remember Spinal Tap with the 11x? You turn the speakers up to 11 instead of just 10. We can do some really cool things by just getting a little bit better at the key areas. So let's talk about who we're talking about here. We're talking about differentiating. We're talking about being unique. Well, who do we want to be unique to? Just because you're unique doesn't mean you're any better, like the fork in the picture, right? So if you guys think about that, who do we want to be unique to? I think, and our internal Who's team have spent a lot of time talking about this, it's sellers. Especially in the market and the world today, we want to be special to sellers. We've heard the 3 L's of real estate. We've all heard this before, probably: leads, listings, and leverage. Those are the 3 L's of real estate. The listings piece, I think now is more important than it's ever been. And obviously, you talk about the lawsuit in Missouri. There's a lot of reasons. Things are changing in the industry. There's a little bit of turmoil. But here's some real statistics and numbers for you about sellers. And I want you to tell me, Cari, what you think about this. So 81% of sellers listed with the first agent they talked to. So, give me some ideas of what does that mean to you? What do you take away from that?
Well, you got to be first.
Be
You got to be the
first.
first person. Yeah. I mean, the truth of the matter is people don't like to interview realtors. Like most people aren't going, how many can we talk to? How many appointments can we schedule? How many salespeople do we have to sit across the table from? They would much prefer to just meet with somebody, make a decision, and move forward. I don't think that's what we believe, but that is actually true. And if you think about your own self, shopping around isn't necessarily fun and everybody's busy. So I think it's really important to realize that. And then you have to figure out how to be first. And I love the fact that, yeah, their agent was found through a referral. That is still such a high percentage. And yet we still have a challenge keeping in touch with our past clients and our friends and family. That's always.
You've got some solutions for that today, Cari. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So my takeaways from these statistics: 81% of sellers hired the first agent they talked to, and 65% were actually found through referral. So the two things, like Cari said, number one, be first. Speed to action, speed to implementation, speed to getting back to people matters. Like I said before, we learned that in 2020 and 2021. If you weren't fast, we just lost. That's just the way it was. And that market is coming back, and speed is very important in the client's eyes. But then also be referable. Be first and be referable. What does it mean to be referable? Well, I'm sure, Cari, you've dealt with this with a lot of your coaching clients, as I have. People ask me, well, how can I get more referrals? The truth is, people don't refer like good service. People refer exceptional service, things that are above and beyond what they expect. Good service. That's why they hired us as an agent. That's, unless they're just a really nice person and you ask them in the right ways at the right time, they may not refer you, even though they had a good experience. People typically don't refer good. They refer exceptional. I want to give you a quick story. So my ex-business partner, Carla, I don't know if some of you might know Carla Thompson. She's in Boulder, Colorado now, but we ran the big office here in Boise together, Cari. When she moved to Boulder, she had 2 different experiences with dentists. She took her kids to the dentist the very first time. And it was actually, the first experience was a physical. Her son played soccer. That's what it was. Hers was the dentist. Her son had to play soccer. So she makes an appointment with this doctor's office. Well, she gets to the doctor's office and she kind of walks down these stairs. There's this huge room, like at a hospital, full of people with like nowhere to sit. It took her 30 seconds, I mean, quite a while to figure out where the counter was, where the receptionist even was. So she goes up there, receptionist is on the phone, talking to somebody else. And then she, is not paying attention to Carla standing right there. She's like, kind of clearing her throat, trying to get her attention for a minute. And finally he's like, oh, can I help you? And she's like, yeah, Carla Thompson here for Charlie. We had an appointment. And she's like, oh, fill this out. Hands her a clipboard, like this giant, because it's her first time. They just moved to Boulder from Boise. Okay. Hands her this giant clipboard, no pen. She's like, do you have a pen? And now the girl's like, she's bothered. She looks around. She hands her a pen, right? It takes her 15 minutes to fill this thing out. She finally gets back. They wait 40 minutes. There's 50 people in this little room. They finally, a door opens and one of the nurses comes out and goes, Thompson, is there a Thompson here? It's like, and then, oh, wait a minute. As they're walking over there, they say, we don't have a room. Hold on a minute. We don't have a room to put you in. Just a second. And it was like every step along the way was a fight and a struggle and a bad experience for Carla, literally every step. So then she had her personal dentist appointment about a week later. New dentist, never been there, just moved to Boulder from Boise. She shows up at the appointment, walks in the front door, and there's a whiteboard. And on the whiteboard, it says, "Welcome, Carla Thompson." Like on the whiteboard. She walks in the door. The receptionist stands up from behind the desk and says, "You must be Carla. Welcome." And it's like, okay. And then she says, "I want to show you, welcome to our office. I want to show you what's going to happen." She walks her around, grabs her arm, walks her around, introduces her to the dentist, introduces her to the hygienist, introduces her to the person that's going to check her out, shows her where she's going to be. There's a mask if you need, if the lights are bothering you, we can turn the music up and down, like completely different. Then everything happens. She does the hygienist, she meets with the dentist, she checks out, and the person scheduling the next appointment hands her a rose. And she leaves, and they said, "We're so happy to have you as a client." Which one of those two experiences do you think Carla refers to people? Right? I mean, we can all say we've had experiences like the first one, and we've probably had a few experiences, although not as many, like the second one. And my question would be, what are you creating for your clients? If I was to interview your clients at the end of a transaction, what would they say? Was it like Charlie's physical? I hope not. A fight every single step of the way? Or was it like, wow, this was awesome. They preempted everything. They met all my expectations. They even preempted my expectations by showing me what was going to happen before it happened. That's what people refer is exceptional service. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some statistics here on this too. If you wanted to go from 10 transactions a year to 25, it's really not that much more work. It's only 6 more people. Because if 7 people are involved in this one, there's only 14 people involved in this one, or 13 people, right? 6 people give you 1 referral because 20% of sellers referred an agent over 4 times, 20%. So our goal would be to increase that. How can we get more referrals? How can we create an exceptional process, an exceptional experience for the client? Well, if we got 1 person that gave us 4 and we had 6 that gave us 1, 6 people, that's 10 transactions. But if we had 4 people giving us 4, right? Now all of a sudden we're up to 25 transactions. So being first is key, and being referable is key as well. Do something a little bit different, and look at the difference in commissions between 10 and 25 transactions, even though it's only 6 people, right? The 6 correct people that you got referrals from. So we know sellers are stressed. 95% of sellers admit they deal with stress. Interesting though, Cari, I didn't know this until we looked up the stats. When does that stress come? Most people said it was before they even listed the home, before they listed the house. Think about that. Getting ready to decide to move, and then thinking about all the things you're going to have to do to the house, and then thinking about an agent, right? So there's a lot of this that happens ahead of time. Now, if you have a buyer, Cari, if you had a buyer and they said, you know, Cari, we love you and we want to work with you. We're going to buy, but we're going to wait till spring, or we're going to wait till XYZ. We're going to wait till summer, whatever. A lot of agents, the first thing they do, which I think is a good idea, would put somebody, and this is what I used to do, I would put myself on a home search for them, and then I would send them properties. But a lot of agents would put them on a home search as well. You could do the one, put them on a drip to show them houses, because that could do a couple things. Number one, that could get them excited, and maybe that speed that time frame up. But number two, it keeps you in front of them, right? And keeps you nurturing them. Well, we haven't really had a tool like that for sellers. That's for buyers. What do you do when a seller says, "Hey, Cari, you know, we're thinking about listing, but we're going to wait till spring or summer or fall," or whatever they say? It's like, well, we haven't had a specific tool until now. And since we're talking about sellers, I want to show you, this is what our pre-listing copilot looks like. Okay. You see this page now? So I want to show you this. I've showed you this, Cari, before, but I want to walk people. This is a pre-listing copilot. There's a lot of different pieces to this. This is a brand new tool, guys. It just came out last month. And I want you to think about how much work this would save you and how much better it would help you be. So we've got a lot of different things over here on the dashboard. I don't want to go through all those. I will go through a couple of things, but I want to click first on manage reports. These are ones I've already done. The only thing you have to do to make a report is to just download pictures. Literally download pictures. So I just want to show you this one report. If I say view report, here's 5 photographs I took off of Zillow. You could take 5 photos from the MLS. You could take pictures yourself. You could walk around the house and take pictures. Okay. But these are literally 5 photos. There's the front of the house, the kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and kind of the dining living area. So I just downloaded these into our pre-listing assistant. That's all I did. And then here's the report it comes up with, guys. this entire thing. I didn't say anything, by the way. I just want to make this clear. I didn't say this is the bathroom, this is the kitchen. It knows all this already. All I literally did was drop the photos in. So you have a complete report like this, and we're trying to solve three issues here. We're trying to solve three things. We're trying to give them a staging report. So what can they do to get the house ready and to maximize their value? Then we're trying to give them a marketing report. How are we going to sell this? Who's the target, probably client, the best avatar to market this to? And then we want to price it. So staging, marketing, and pricing is the three things that this pre-listing assistant is going to do. And it does this instantaneously. Now, here's the cool thing. I want you guys to know this. You can completely customize every single aspect of this, from the colors, the fonts, the lettering, the order, even every single individual block. I can click edit report. And I kind of want to just go through a couple of these for you and show you what it looks like. You can edit every single individual block because Whoosy is looking at the house as a whole. Like if you were to walk through a house, Cari, you're going to look and see, is this a Frankenstein? Does it not match at all? Or does it kind of flow pretty well? It's going to look at the house as a whole. Then it's going to look individually at each room and tell you what it sees and then what it thinks you could do to make it better. And that's all completely customizable. I've had houses before. I told this story the other day to a group where I sold a house in West Lynn, Oregon. The master bedroom was like a deep, dark plum color, like purple. If you're a Washington Husky fan, you probably would have loved it, right? And it's so funny because I had told people as they walked up, don't worry about the master bedroom. I've got a great painter. We can paint the master bedroom. Well, it got to be a busy open house. And if you guys can imagine, you can't quite get to everybody when you're talking to another group comes in. This couple came in, and before I could get to them, they were up in the master bedroom. I kind of ran up there after I was done with this one group. I see them, and the wife looks at the husband and literally says, well, we won't have to paint the master bedroom. It's like they loved it. I was so glad I didn't say anything. They absolutely loved it. But if you have a painter, if you don't want to talk about that, by the way, the seller loves the fireplace. So Whoosy's going to complain about the fireplace. Just have it regenerated without that. Just take that out. You can influence how Whoosy talks about it. So for example, it talks about the bathroom. The current state of the bathroom features a clean but outdated design with neutral tones and standard fixtures. The room benefits from natural light and a spacious layout, but suffers from a lack of personality and modern features. And then it's going to say, here's what we recommend. Painting the walls. Now, in future examples of this, future editions coming very soon, we will be able to pull your vendor list right into this. So where the report here says, hey, paint walls a soft light, reflecting, modernize it. It'll suggest your painter, Cari, right from your vendor list. It'll suggest, hey, Cari Briner is my interior painter. Here's her contact information, right? And I want to show you if I regenerate one of these. So here's one I wanted to regenerate, the outside. So this is the elevation of the house. The front yard features a healthy lawn, traditional home facade, but lacks vibrant landscaping and modern details. So it's like, okay, what if I want to regenerate this? I want to regenerate. Now, Whoosy's asking me, how do you want to regenerate this? Like I could literally just type myself and change stuff, or I could have it regenerate through AI. I'll say, okay, talk about the price increase a seller might get by having an improved curb appeal. And then suggest some budget-friendly fixes to the curb appeal. Okay, now I'm going to generate this. So now it's thinking. It's going to regenerate that one block of what I just told it to regenerate based on that. You might walk into a house where the fireplace is, I've used this example before because it actually happened. The fireplace is a, old family heirloom, big deal, but it's outdated. And Whoosy's going to say, the fireplace isn't that great. Here's things you can do. I don't want it to say that. You could just literally say, hey, regenerate this block, but don't mention the fireplace, right? Something like that. So here's what it did. Boom, it just regenerated that block. Curb appeal plays a crucial role in the real estate market by significantly impacting a property's perceived value. It can increase property's value by up to 5 to 10%, according to the National Association of Realtors. Now, here are some budget-friendly fixes that can transform the exterior, right? Refresh the front door and hardware. Oh, okay. A fresh coat of paint. Now, this is where, Carrie, it will pull. This will literally, for every single one of these recommendations, if you have a window person, if you have a contractor that builds decks, if you have a painter, if you have a landscaper, it'll pull them right into this report. That's coming very soon. What do you think of that? Like, that's cool. And just look at this report, though, that it generates. Like, it goes through every room, every single piece of the house. Then it's going to give you an estimated budget and timeline to fix all these things. And then it's going to start talking about marketing. Who does it think is going to be, and this is the phase that we're building out now that's getting better and better all the time. Who does it think is going to be the buyer for this property? And let's create social media posts, newsletters, and highlights and verbiage that appeals to that kind of buyer, right? And then expected outcomes. So then what you can do is you can send this. I just want to show you. If you share the report, you click share, this is what you get. So right now, guys, this is literally, I mean, this was done this morning. So this is literally what you get. This is me. I mean, my fake contact information, my email's real, by the way. But here's the report that this is what the client gets. Okay. And on that link, it's giving them who it thinks the buyer is, the marketing strategy, expected outcomes and next steps. Like, this is an actual report you can send to a client right now, even though this is only available to our members right now, Carrie. This is like in beta. This is literally in beta mode, but we have clients in our community already using it and getting listings from this. Because just think about the implications of how you could use a report like this. It takes you 1 minute to drag the photos into there. How long would it take you to find the photos on Zillow or, you know, wherever you wanted to find them, or just walk through the house with the person and download the photos? That takes 1 minute and it generates a report like this. How many agents, like even on this call, I'm going to look up here at my group of you because I got split screens. How many of you do stuff like this, like staging reports, walk through, kind of give the client some ideas on what to do? Can I see, like, show of hands, what they should do before the listing? I'm going to do this. Okay. How long does it take? Like, we've talked about this, Carrie, internally. It probably takes 2 to 3 hours to do a report like this. What if you could do it in 5 minutes and customize it and make it the way you want it to and make every single room good? It might take you 15 or 20 minutes, but it's going to save you a lot of time and it's going to be better. Because one of the things we talked about was things that agents should do. So manage vendors. So here's like a vendor list. So I put in my little fake vendors here. Agents should have a vendor list. But I'll bet a lot of agents, I know a lot of agents don't have a vendor list. So when they get a tool like this, they realize, oh, wow, now I got to get my vendor list, right? Now, this is going to make you, again, this is how it makes you better because it's going to help you do the things we should be doing anyway. Yeah. Question carrying on that? So that makes sense. Do you guys like this idea? I mean, a pre-listing tool you can then send. And I want to share with you because you can now show people, like literally, I want to show you. Let me go back to sharing this. What they're going to see on their end. Right now, they see that report that I just showed you, but coming very soon, they're going to see an entire timeline of the process with you. These are the details of the house. There's going to be every photo that you took of the house on here, a calendar of the marketing plan, when we're going to do what posts are going to go out when, what they're going to say. And then at the bottom is literally chat access for the client with the property. So they can see a world-class experience for them on their end of that actual report. And then the next piece, what you alluded to earlier, Carrie, was one of our next features is Who's He Home. So this is a dashboard they're going to get from you, branded to you, about their entire house. So everything from their loans to their appliances, you can upload the manuals for the dishwasher, the refrigerator, all those different things. Now, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second when I go through some of the other tools, but this is the client-facing portal that's coming from you. Because we're going to talk later, one of the biggest challenges realtors have is staying relevant, adding value, and staying top of mind when the client is not looking to buy or sell, right? They just closed from you. If they just closed, the next step is probably 7 to 10 years away, right? I mean, how long do people live in a house? Well, in that 7 to 10 years, how do we stay relevant? This is going to be the solution to that. Who's He Home, where they have complete interaction with the financial and physical aspects of their house and what they can do with it. And they can have chat access to this branded by you. That could be a really cool lead generation tool for you, by the way, as well. So, all right. I want to show you this next slide. This is coming probably later this year, I would think. So I want to make sure you guys know this is coming, but the other part I showed you actually exists right now for our members. You can use this. So let's talk about the reports right here. So this is what Whoozy looks like when you log into Whoozy. So if you guys have used ChatGPT, you've seen this. This is what we call our Spark Pad. Our Spark Pad is where you write prompts. And I just want to show you, this is what the dashboard looks like on the left. When you go into Spark Pad, you can ask it whatever you want to ask it. And there's some very key differences between Whoozy and ChatGPT. One of the first ones is context. With Whoozy, we've built this for real estate. So we have these co-pilots or assistants. These are literally real estate trained AIs. We have a team leader trained AI, right? Thinks about leadership, strategic thinking, big picture things, team management, goal settings. Like this is going to kind of tell you what each one of these co-pilots does. The marketing and salesperson, thinks about if you're going to write a social media post, that's probably what you got to use. If you're going to bring somebody on, maybe it's training and growth. If you want to create a manual for your business, maybe it's operations. If you want to do a P&L and understand how much money you should be spending on marketing, for example, probably the financial management. So this is what gives it context. You can click or check any one of these co-pilots or assistants, or just leave it as GPT. So it'll just be like a normal what ChatGPT might answer without context, but it still has context because in this, we also have Book Boost. So every single one of those assistants has a series of books that it's pulling wisdom from. So if you sat down side by side on a computer, Darren, and I'm seeing Darren, so I'm picking on you. Darren, if you sat down and had ChatGPT open and then had Whoozy open, asked it the same question, the same prompt, you're going to get a very different answer, a much better targeted answer in real estate because it's already trained on real estate. And if you click one of these book boosts, the Challenger Sale, How to Win Friends, Influence People, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. I mean, some of these great boosts, and every single one of these has a different series of books. So change it to the team leader. Now, if you go to Book Boost, they're different. Every single one of these co-pilots and assistants that we call them has a different set of books. You don't have to pick any of them if you don't want, but the whole idea was to gamify this and make you play with it, get you thinking, oh, what would it be if I asked the financial manager this question? That's a lot of fun. And what's coming very soon, guys, is our ability to create our own co-pilot. If you wanted to create anything, you want to create a nutrition expert co-pilot, or you wanted to train how about a market stats expert? Go to your MLS and download the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, whatever you want, of all the data and stats from your MLS. And now that co-pilot knows all that. So when you bring up a new listing or you ask it about a house, it can talk about, what do you think days on market's probably going to be? What's the average for this area and this price range? What's the absorption rate? How many listings now are there compared to this time last year? Like, it'll know everything because you've downloaded that. And that was all born from our next thing I want to show you here called Whoozy Files. So SparkPad is where you actually do the prompts and you learn and you get really creative. You can save them all. We have a notepad. You can save everything. Whoozy Files is one of my favorite things that we do, guys. Whoozy Files, I want to show you the CC&Rs one, for example. Whoozy Files, you can take any file, if it's a PDF, if it's a Word doc, if it's an HTML from a website, and I've got examples of all those on here, and download it to Whoozy Files, and now you have chat access with that file. I've done a lot of YouTube videos where you can just save the transcript. If you know how to go to a YouTube video, on the bottom, you click the little 3 dots and click More, and then Show Transcript, copy and paste that, and now I can ask the video, what's the call to action of this video, Cari? What are the top 10 things I should take if I'm a real estate coach from this video that would help my clients? Like, give me a summary of this video in 200 words or less. Create a study guide with 20 questions about the topics on this video, right? It's like you can chat now through AI with any file. We came up with this idea in June of last year. It was live in August. That's how fast our team is. Our development teams are amazing, but like this is incredible. So this gave birth to a lot of different things. This Whoozy Files. So just for example, I want to show you my files. So we have a CC&Rs. This is a PDF. I downloaded the CC&Rs as a PDF, right? And it's right here. And so I say, okay, I want to talk to that. I want to talk to it. I have a client interested in purchasing a home in this subdivision. I would like to provide them with an FAQ about the CC&Rs. Can you put together one for me? Sure. And then here it gives you an FAQ about that. What types of buildings are allowed? Only detached single family dwellings. at least 2-car garage, not exceeding 2 stories in height. Like, it gives me a kind of a breakdown of everything in the CC&Rs. Can I park an RV or trailer in my lot? Parking RV or trailers, only 48 hours in a 72-hour time period. Carrie, this is the first thing I did. I think I told you that story. Where I live in Meridian, Idaho, my subdivision has an HOA, and our CC&Rs are 49 pages. So actually, the very first file I downloaded into Whoosy Files is my CC&Rs, and I asked it, can I park my boat in my driveway? And it said, because I didn't want to search through 49 pages, right? And it said, you can park your boat in your driveway for 72 hours. Like, how helpful would that be with your clients to be able to talk to the CC&Rs? Or how about a title report, right? If you look at the title report, this is another file I made for the Dixon Street title report, preliminary title. And now you can ask questions on the title report. First question I ask is, are there any liens on this home? Instead of trying to read through the whole thing. And it says, yeah, unpaid property taxes for several fiscal years, ranging from 2011 and 12 to 17 and 18, respective amounts due. I'm like, okay, that sparked my interest when I saw that. There's a lien imposed by Portland for a nuisance of $2,800. I'm like, okay, I wanted to go back to these unpaid property taxes I just mentioned. So then it spells it out. Here's the amounts every single year. Here's the amount due of property taxes. Right. And I said, okay, so how would I get rid of these liens? And it goes through the steps: reviewing the lien, securing the funds, paying off the taxes, addressing the nuisance lien, obtain release documents. That's important. Record the release documents. Like, it's literally telling you step by step how to go through this title report. Are there any other concerns my buyer should have that are included? Well, it talks about all the different things of the CC&Rs. So I said, okay, what about the CC&Rs? Explain this further. And then it goes through and it says, here's some specific restrictions in that neighborhood. And I just love this, guys. You can just take a file that maybe is long. We had an agent, Karen Pesca, Carrie, in our group. Her husband works for Ada County Highway District. And so he had a test coming up. She downloaded 26 different files. All of them were over 100 pages. 26. He goes, Rick, I thought I was going to break it. I'm like, good for you. She downloaded all 26 files, checked them all, because you can chat with multiple files, checked every single one of them, and said, hey, create a study guide, because he had big, test kind of things come up. It worked perfectly. He loves it. He's a big fan of Whoosy now, her husband. And that's not even using it for real estate, but you can use it for anything that you want. And one of the ones I wanted to show you here real quick is home utilities. If you go to my files, home appliances, I downloaded 3. I downloaded washer and dryer owner's manual, an LG fridge owner's manual, and a dishwasher. Now I can check one or multiple files if I want to. I checked all 3 and just start chatting with it. I was like, okay, let's say my refrigerator water filter went out. How do I replace it? Like, step by step, what do I do? And then where do I get it? And so here's the filters that your refrigerator takes. And then here's step-by-step instructions on how to replace it. I did this with my GoPro camera as well. I did this with my wife's car, trying to turn off the lane change assist feature because I can't stand it. I mean, it's done so many things. You just go to online and download the manual, and it's as limitless as your imagination is. So what do you think of that one, Carrie? I love that. That to me, Whoosy Files is extremely powerful, as well as the SparkPad. And then that brings us to the last piece of this, which is the community. So I want to share with you just a real quick little video of, you don't have to be alone.
Yeah.
I've been an agent for 30 years. Carrie, I mean, you can probably speak to this. I think that's probably why one of the reasons you created your co-working space.
Yeah.
Because
And
agents
this community,
and
exactly.
this community, right?
Yeah.
Agents can feel like they're on an island.
Yep.
Right. I mean, real estate, for those that aren't in real estate, don't get it. For those of us that are in real estate, we realize it can be a lonely business. So we want to have resources and access 24/7 to people, to answers, to good ideas, to information. It's like, so our community, we meet every other Tuesday. So this next Tuesday, if anybody signs up on this call, we would love to have you. This next Tuesday is our next call. We have a live call where Danielle and I go over like literal use cases. What are we using it for? Like these examples I just showed you, I'll do a lot of these on the actual call. We'll get our members to tell us how they used it, and we all share and learn from each other. Then we also have Eric come on quite often and talk about, okay, here's what's coming. Here's a really cool iteration of the tool, or here's a brand new tool that we're building into the space.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to show this video real quick, Carrie. So hopefully this will play. Our test it played.
I feel like I've always written really dumb property descriptions. With Whoosy, I treat it more like Whoosy was a person and is in the next cubicle over from me. and I say, okay, we've got a new listing. I think our prospective buyer will probably be a first-time home buyer or an investor. It spits out the best dang property description. And I went into Whoosy and I said, help me create an ad based on this property description to attract first-time home buyers or investors. I put a $50 ad limit on that, threw it into my Facebook, and I had 19 leads within the first 45 minutes. We had 6 showings scheduled out of that for the next day. I couldn't have pulled that off on my own.
Yeah. That was a cool testimonial. Melissa has several. She's in Ryrie, if anybody knows where that is. It's kind of by Idaho Falls, Ryrie, Idaho. She's a pretty big producing agent over there. And she's just full. We have so many different agents that will come on that call and give us, okay, here's how I used it. And I love that. That's the power of a community.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next steps. So let me go back. I want to share. If I can go back to this. This is, remember, the client-facing dashboard. We've got our community. Then you say, okay, after the community, after, I figured out how to use Whoosy, I can do really cool things. My clients can have a much better experience and I can be memorable. That's leveraging with systems and tools. And the third piece of leverage, systems, tools, and people, right? System, tools, and people. So we actually have a whole closing department with Whoosy that is actual people. And we started in Tennessee, then we were in Texas, now we're in Oregon, and Idaho is coming very soon, where they will do your transaction management for you with real people. Because you're going to be using Whoosy for a lot of it. Remember the Whoosy files I just showed you, Cari? The next iteration of Whoosy files is a TC assistant, a TC copilot, where literally you will just drop in an accepted purchase and sale agreement, and it will automatically now know all the milestones in that transaction. It'll populate your Google Calendar with all of those. Like as soon as you download it, within seconds, your Google Calendar will have when's the earnest money due, when's the home inspection, when's the title report due, when's it actually close, and every party to the transaction, every person is going to go into your Google contacts. It'll populate your contacts right then. And it'll send you reminders. Hey, by the way, Cari, Thursday is the home inspection on 15th Street. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, thanks. Like, how many of you would like to get a deal summary from the agent on the other side sometimes, so you're on the same page as far as dates go? That, it will do that instantaneously. That's our TC assistant, which Whoosy Files gave us the ability to start doing that now. Because now that we can talk to files, well, how about we train Whoosy to talk to the file and tell us what's important, what's relevant? What if I got 5 offers? I could drop them all in the Whoosy Copilot and ask it to give me deal summaries, talk about those offers. Right? That would be really cool and save a lot of time and work. And we actually do have a department that does this with actual human beings as well, because that's the next step in leverage. Yeah. So then I wanted to show this slide because I want everybody to understand we're creating an entire ecosystem here. It's fun. Like I just showed you the pre-listing tool. That would be like step 1. I would send that to my sphere right now. If you're a circle prospector, I would send it to a neighborhood and say, hey, look at this great new AI staging tool. Take 5 pictures of your own house and put it in here and tell me what you think. And then they'll play around with it. Again, it's branded to you. This is endless opportunity of lead genning and also nailing down and getting listings from people. But then when you actually get the listing, now you want a tool, which is our listing tool. You want it to do everything it was talking about. Remember, we talked about staging, marketing, and pricing. Well, we want now for this to carry out and execute the marketing plan, post to social media, create newsletter contents for you, like literally do that. And that's what this is going to do. And you can see as we get an offer, negotiation, all the way through. And on the buyer side, we have all these pieces for the buyer. But remember, we talked about the biggest piece of all here. That is the ownership of the home. When the client is there for 7 to 10 years, not needing you, but there are things that come up. Like in your storms, I'm sure people had ice dams, Cari, probably. Some people might have had some pipes burst.
Yep.
Pilot light goes out in the fireplace. They can talk to Whoosy literally and ask it, hey, my pilot light in my fireplace went out. How do I relight it? And it will know step by step how to do that. Same thing with, anything that they have. So we're creating a lot of tools at first, but then these tools are going to be part of an entire ecosystem. And that's where the community mindset around this, and I love that you're a community mindset person, Cari, is so important, because we're creating this to make, at the end of the day, a better experience for the client. That's what we have to do as an industry, guys. That first question I asked you when we started this talk was, what is it going to be like if we're not getting better? What's the real estate industry going to be like in a few years? The real estate industry, I think probably a lot of you know this, is a $200 billion industry. So, I mean, do you think tech companies and other people are going to be coming after that? Of course they are. But if we do a good job and we stay in front of our people and add real value to them, we've just secured our future. Right. So that's where we don't want to just broadcast to the masses. We want to connect with the individual people and really add value to them. Right. So here's the QR code, Cari. This is for your group. So those of you on this call, scan this QR code. We create a special page for you that has some of these details here for you. We want you to be a part of our group. If you want to be a part of it, we'd love to have you. Just so you know, I don't think I even mentioned this, Cari. The cost is $79 a month. So if you're using ChatGPT-4 or Turbo or any of those, it's $20 a month. So just get rid of that. Start using Whoozy. We have a community. We have real estate specific tools. I mean, we've built this entire platform for real estate agents. So this is, I said this to a group the other day, Cari. People spend more than $79 a month on coffee.
Yes, they do.
Have you had Boomtown in your business for your team?
Yeah, yeah.
I had Boomtown for over 10 years and I paid $1,100 a month for Boomtown.
Yeah, of course.
And when you get the full-blown site and not a subdomain, you get the full-blown KV Core, it's like $1,000 a month. People say, I get KV Core at my brokerage for 60. Well, that's a subdomain. It doesn't have all the functionality, which it works still. But my point is, Whoozy will do 1,000 times what those things will do. And it's $79
and we
a
use
month.
KV Core here, so use KV Core and then pay your money and get Whoozy.
Use it to enhance it.
I have a question.
Yeah, exactly,
Use it to enhance it, Cari. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
Darren, go ahead.
So will this sync to KV Core so that our current clients in KV Core, we can utilize this platform to do marketing and all that stuff you're talking about?
The long answer, Eric would say, is the short answer, I guess I would say, is yes, it will. And what we're doing is we're figuring out ways to integrate. So you could like upload a CSV file, for example, Darren, and it'd have all your notes. It would have all the contact information. And then, yes, then Whoozy would remember all of that. It would know every single thing you've ever talked to. And hey, this guy's into classic cars and this person's into gardening and this person just got a new puppy. And then it would start telling you if you're going to, hey, by the way, Darren, the last time you talked to Rick was 3 weeks ago and he was going to go to some classic car swap. And there's one in Boise next month. Do you want to send him an article about it? Right. And now it's going to start being like a proactive CRM, Darren. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but can you sync it through like Zapier?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer if we can sync it through Zapier, but
Eric just put
Eric just
something
jump
in the
in.
chat. He said we are creating integration now.
Eric, why don't you jump on that?
I just popped in, you guys. I did not want to jump in, but there was a good question, so I just figured I'd
it's a great question.
Whoozy. I was just listening in, and nice to meet y'all. Thanks for having us on, Cari, everybody.
Yeah.
So on that, we're actually just decided we're going to do there's 4 CRMs identified as the 4 main typical CRMs that most brokers use, and we're going to do integrations with those. So there will be an integration back and forth between those 4. But ultimately, we know that not everybody uses their CRM, like they should be, and the stats show that between 12 and 17% actually are only using it. So we really are taking this thoughtfully and not just trying to check the box when somebody says, do you integrate? We want to make sure that the integration actually does something. It moves the needle for you. It generates more business for you, not just a checking up the box. So we're looking at these very, very seriously because CRMs are so powerful, but what's the disconnect between why most people don't use them fully, at the street level? So we know we're dealing with independent contractors, 100% commission with a high variable rate of the way everyone does business. So our CRM question is going to be handled just slightly different. So
which 4 CRMs are you going to do?
We looked at Follow Up Boss, KV Core, Lofty, and probably Sync. It looks like the last one is what we're gonna pick. The Zillow CRM that they have as well is on the list. I'm just trying not to play with Zillow because our whole goal is we want to be upstream of these big portals that have just taken your information, all your hard work, and stolen it and selling it back to you. So we're really being thoughtful about that. We want the agent to be upstream mostly and not try and deal with and empower and give more money to the ones that are trying to take your commission. So
cool.
Good question, Darren.
Yeah, thank you guys. And thanks for letting me just pop on there. Anything else while I got the hot mic for a minute?
Yeah, other questions?
Okay.
Well, time frame, Eric. I know we've talked about maybe later in the year for the client-facing Whoozy Home. That's still the idea, right? In 2024?
Oh, for sure. So the full consumer facing app will be out this year. That's, I think is one of the biggest answers that agents are really looking for, is how do you stay super relevant, you know, besides just having an IDX website and some blog posts and, you know, your holiday cards and whatnot. It's a tough gig. So when we have that figure eight and we show how we want to keep the agent, the client, and the property all connected throughout the whole life cycle, buying and selling and home ownership phase, that's the goal, you know. And we're just hyper focused on not just creating cool tools or neat things or flashy things, because that's an AI revolution. That's not it. We're only going to get to be a big company if we help a large group of agents get a bigger piece of the pie. So we're here simply to focus on scale, making you more memorable, making you more referable. And instead of taking the path like a lot of tech companies by trying to go around the real estate industry, Zillow calls it the last mile problem of going around the real estate industry, trying to get the consumer directly. We want to work with the agent, the sales force that's working with the home buyers and sellers today. We know if we serve them at a high level, then their experience at the home buyer and seller level will be just automatically improved. So we're focused. That's why we're focusing so heavily on the real estate and mortgage side right now.
Yeah. It really goes back to what I was talking about earlier, Cari, is creating an exceptional experience. I mean, imagine giving a client that pre-listing assistant packet right now, even as it sits right now, before it gets iterated with all the other pieces and the vendors. And I mean, it's going to be incredible. But even right now, I have agents that are getting listings because everybody else is giving them a static presentation, which is fine. But this is an interactive thing they can talk to and play with and stage their house. One of the other iterations, I didn't mention this, is it'll actually show you what it would look like if you did what it says to do. Like if it says to paint the front door and mow the lawn and freshen up the bark dust and, you know, trim that tree, it'll have an actual photo next to the one that's in there of what that would look like if you did that. And then it also will talk about what it does to the price now.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I think we're in the business of empowering, you know, the consumer. And most importantly, I've been paying very close attention to what the comments are reading below all the NAR lawsuit, you know, articles that are out there. And when you go to the bottom and you read what the consumers say, that's what we really want to be paying attention to. So we really want to increase our perceived value, increase the transparency for the consumer, and collaborate deeper, right? And so with the pre-listing tool, just this morning, you guys, I did approve the design for, we want a push button lead capture for you. So we want the agents to be able to just push a button. It generates a landing page for you that you drive traffic to, so you can have people in your downline or in your sphere or in your social media spheres to be able to upload photos and start that generation process. Like Danielle on the call said here, when you guys get a buyer that's thinking about selling a house or buying a house, you go and set up a saved search and you start trying to send them properties. There's no such thing that exists on the listing side. So this is one of those where you can start getting them engaged in the process and demystify the process of, say, you know, getting their home ready for sale and painting wet walls and decluttering and all the stuff that stresses them out. When it gets on a checklist, when it gets really visible, they start to be able to create the time and they get involved in the process faster. So this is a really great lead generation tool, and to get you like ahead of the curve, because they don't call you on listings until way too late, you know, and we don't want to lose them to portals. So want to stay relevant, get in front of them, get them in your ecosystem, talking to them right away, get in their house, and, you know, get the listing.
Yeah. It's just going to be a really powerful tool. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. And Cari, I mean, email me questions, talk to Cari, rick@whoosie.ai. If you have more questions on stuff, we'd love for you to be a part of our community. Our next call is next Tuesday. We're going to be talking about the 12-week year. We're also going to be talking about some of the really amazing features that we didn't even get to today that you guys are going to love with the pre-listing assistant. So would love to have you guys involved.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Perfect timing. 1 minute to spare. Eric, Rick, thank you guys for being here. You guys, good information. Reach out to me if you need to be connected to Rick. If you didn't get the QR code, I'm going to post it below the live stream as well. But we're super excited to have you get involved and share this with others in the industry that you, you know, are trying to be in business with, want to be in business with, your team members. This is, you know, for those that want to do better, be better, and get ahead of the curve. This is a really great option. So thanks for being here, Rick. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, Cari. Yep. The
Bye,
kind
everyone.
of agents, I really think the kind of agents that embrace this stuff are the ones that are going to thrive in the next 3 to 5 years. I really do.
I agree. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Make it a
guys.
great day.
See ya.